Hello and welcome to Granada Reports. We are live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us on the programme this evening.
In the Olivia Pratt-Corbell murder trial, CCTV shows the movements of the man accused of killing her in the hours before her death.
The WASPy women who say their retirement plans lie in tatters now protesting outside Parliament and demanding action.
It's happened and the only thing we can do is learn from it.
Marcus Rashford reflects on that defeat, and United hit training hard ahead of their Europa League game.
Oh yay! Oh yay! On International Women's Day, we meet one with something to shout about.
And we now have an amber be prepared weather warning in place tomorrow for eastern parts of our region. I'll have all the detail on the weather over the next few days a little later on.
Well, first tonight, jurors in the Olivia Pratt-Corbell murder trial have been shown CCTV of the man accused of shooting her dead.
The footage, which tracks the alleged gunman Thomas Cashman, reveals his movements in the hours before 9-year-old Olivia was killed.
Live to our correspondent Rob Smith, he's at Manchester Crown Court for us. And Rob, what did the prosecution say about this CCTV?
Well, the CCTV footage that was played to the jury here today had sound, the sound of gunshots, shots the prosecution say were fired by a gunman they allege was Thomas Cashman, the man accused of Olivia's murder. And in that footage, that gunman is seen chasing after two people, one of whom the prosecution say was the intended target of the shooting, a man called Joseph Nee. Now, this footage was played to the courtroom as part of a timeline of events of what happened in August last year, detailed by an investigator from Merseyside Police. And the footage itself was taken from a camera on the street of Olivia's family home. It showed a man fleeing. This was moments before 10 p.m. And then it showed Mr. Nee on the floor with the gunman stood over him. Now, the jury were told Thomas Cashman denies that he is the gunman. That's an allegation they were told that he does not accept. He denies that. Moments after the footage was recorded, the court has already heard Mr. Nee got to his feet, was chased to the door of Olivia's home. Shot was fired, gun was fired into the house. Olivia's mum was wounded. The 9-year-old was hit in the chest. In that timeline today, the jury heard that armed officers arrived at Olivia's home 11 minutes later. They took her to hospital under blue lights. She was pronounced dead later that night. The jury was also told today that the gunman got away by, in effect, quote, garden hopping. He garden hopped away from the scene. Earlier today, the court was shown separate video footage of Thomas Cashman, who's in Granada Drive in West Derby. He was shown in a white Citroen van leaving his home and driving to Dovecot, passing by an address where Mr. Nee's van was parked up. Thomas Cashman denies Olivia's murder. He denies the attempted murder of Joseph Nee. He denies wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm of Olivia's mum. He has also pleaded not guilty to 2 firearms charges. This trial continues tomorrow.
At Manchester Crown Court, thank you.
In other news, Cheshire Police have launched an investigation into allegations that the Manchester City and England defender Kyle Walker indecently exposed himself in a bar in Wilmslow. The alleged incident is said to have happened on Sunday after City's Premier League win over Newcastle. Cheshire Police say no arrests have been made.
The funeral's taking place of Nicola Bully, the mother from Lancashire who vanished after walking her dog in St Michael's on Wyre. Her body was found after a 3-week search. A fundraiser to support her family has now raised more than £37,000.
An inquest was opened into the death of a 17-year-old girl from Warrington. Brianna Jai was stabbed to death in Culcheth Linear Park. Her funeral's next week, with mourners being asked to wear pink in honour of her colourful personality. A fundraiser for her family has now raised more than £100,000. 2 teenagers have been charged with her murder.
A Holocaust survivor whose life after the Second World War was portrayed in the film The Windermere Children has been awarded an OBE at Windsor Castle. Harry Ulmer survived 5 years of forced labour during the war before being evacuated to the Lake District along with 300 other Jewish children. He went on to become a dentist and a father of 4.
Well, next tonight, the trial of the nurse Lucy Letby has heard how the parents of triplets begged for their surviving baby boy to be transferred to a different hospital after his 2 little brothers had died within 24 hours of each other.
Yeah, the 3 boys were born at the Countess of Chester Hospital in the summer of 2016. Our reporter Emma Sweeney has been in court for us. Emma, the court heard that these babies were born a few weeks early, but were doing pretty well in the first couple of days.
That's right, Gamal. They were born within a minute of each other, each of the babies, and they weighed around 4 pounds each. They were said to be in a stable and good condition. That's until 2 days after their birth, when the family, the parents, were told that one of the triplets had become unwell. So they went down to the neonatal unit, and the mother described the scene down there as being chaotic. She said that the staff seemed to be in a state of panic and the situation didn't seem to be under control. Now, in court today, we were played a video interview of the father, who looked visibly upset as he pointed to his hand, and he talked about the fact that the child's skin colour had changed. He talked about bright blue veins in the child's skin, popping out of the child's skin, and he also talked about the fact that the child's stomach had become swollen. Now, on the day that Child O had become unwell, he died at around 5 o'clock that evening. And the mother said it had come like a bolt out of the blue. Nobody had explained to them the cause of this sudden deterioration, and she said the family were devastated.
And Lucy Letby was looking after their other baby, who also suddenly deteriorated.
Well, that's right, Lucy. You know, the family said that they kept trying to get reassurances that the other 2 children were doing okay following the death of baby O, but the following day the mother said it was just like deja vu, because they were then told that baby P had become unwell, and again they went down to the neonatal unit, and again the mother described scenes of chaos, and they said that baby P looked quite similar to baby O, apart from he didn't have a swollen stomach, and they were trying to make provisions to move the other child to another hospital, but that child died before that could be done, following another few collapses that couldn't be explained.
The court heard how Lucy Letby was also visibly upset. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Lucy Letby was the designated nurse for the children, and she was described by the mother after the death of baby P as being extremely emotional, almost as upset as they were. She brought the children to the parents in Moses baskets, and apparently she was in floods of tears. Now, following their deaths, the parents begged for the 3rd child to be moved to a different hospital, as you say, where the child then went on to make good progress. Lucy Letby is accused of murdering baby O and baby P by injecting them with air, but the defence say there is no evidence to say that Letby inflicted any harm. Letby denies 7 counts of murder and 10 counts of attempted murder, and the trial will continue tomorrow.
OK, Emma, thank you. Now, hundreds of police officers from Cheshire and North Wales joined forces today to target criminals crossing the border.
Officers were out in force on the roads, as well as making themselves known on boats and on board trains. Anyone caught speeding or driving illegally was stopped.
Our reporter Jamal Williams-Thomas was invited to join officers and sent this report.
8 a.m. in the shadow of the Diva Stadium in Chester, 3 police forces combine. This is Operation Crossbow, a cross-border operation to target criminals travelling through the area using a variety of methods, including facial recognition technology.
What it is for me is that members of the public use the road and rail network every single day, and it's them that deserve our protection, so we need to target those that use it illegally.
What would you say to people who say to you, shouldn't you be doing this every day anyway?
We do this every day, and what today is just about showing off what we do and how we do it, and providing that big visible presence and a show of force, actually.
Today is the 3rd day of action for Operation Crossbow, and today over 200 officers are joining from Cheshire Police, North Wales Police and the British Transport Police, and they'll be policing together over both sides of the England and Wales border. Because of its proximity to the Welsh border, policing in Cheshire is unique, and collaborating with neighbouring forces is vital to stopping crime along the arterial routes.
Because this is as much about protecting the travelling public and the people who are the commuters and the pedestrians, making sure that we keep the roads of the county safe as well. The borders are there on a map, but in reality they don't exist for us. So it doesn't matter where you're travelling from or where you're travelling to. we will deal with you, and it matters not what the badge says on the car, it's the fact it says police.
And it's not long before Inspector Sullivan spots a car that isn't roadworthy.
Well, the problem is, if you carry on driving like that and that bumper comes off and you end up hurting somebody, what I want you to do is you're going to follow me off at the next junction.
The driver is led to the nearby service station where other forces are waiting, and despite pleas to let him carry on driving, he is given two very clear options.
We're either going to take the car off you, or you can speak to the garage and arrange for the recovery, because you cannot drive this another yard. The fact you were breaking the law, I can't then allow you to continue breaking the law.
For Cheshire Police, the message is clear. Criminals are not welcome in the area, and with technology getting better and better, you will be caught, whatever side of the border. Jamal Williams-Thomas, ITV News on the England and Wales border.
You have been warned. Well, there's lots more coming up on the programme.
On International Women's Day, how our football clubs are celebrating the huge strides being made in the women's game.
And after that cold, northerly Arctic blast that we've had across the region over the last few days, as we head closer into tomorrow, the warmer and wetter air meets the cold air, and we are expecting significant snow, especially of our higher ground, as we head into tomorrow. The Met Office have issued an amber weather warning for our patch, reaching out all the way through to Rochdale, and have more on that later on in the programme, the forecast for the next couple of days coming up.
Yeah, you better stay with us for that. Plus, let's take a look at what's coming up on the ITV News at 6:30 with Lucrezia.
Coming up, an Arctic blast sweeps across the UK, closing schools and cancelling flights. An amber weather warning is in force for yet more heavy snow tonight, with the cold snap set to continue this week. Also ahead, Gary Lineker says he won't stop speaking out after calls he should quit the BBC for slamming the government's illegal immigration plans. The celebrity weight loss jab to be made available on the NHS, and the unlikely friendship between a farmer and a crane. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to hearing about the farmer and the crane. Tune in, stay tuned. Next, women from across the northwest who say their retirement plans were wrecked when the government abruptly raised the state pension age have been in London to protest outside Parliament.
Yep, they're angry about delays to compensation and are demanding action. Our political correspondent Leisha McNally is in Westminster for us. Leisha, remind us of the background to this demonstration.
Well, Lucy, it was women born in the 1950s who braved the snow and the rain to gather outside the Houses of Parliament here this afternoon, wearing the purple colour that's come to be associated with the suffragette movement. And the crowd represented nearly 4 million women who saw the age that they could claim the state pension changed from 60 to 66 in a move that brought women's retirement age in line with men. Now, campaigners say their issue isn't that the pension age was equalised, but that many women weren't properly warned about the change. It meant that many didn't have the time to financially plan, to join company pension schemes, or even to look for a job more suitable to an older employee. Now, among the protesters who'd made the journey today was a woman from Liverpool who said she never even got so much as a letter warning her that she'd have to keep working for an extra 6 years.
I've got arthritis in my right knee and I've got arthritis in my right wrist because I've always done physically manual hard jobs. And so my body's letting me down in places, and some days it's hard to get up, but I've still got to get up and do my job because I haven't got any money to fall back on.
What's your message to the government then?
Up yours. Can I say that on telly? Up yours. Look what you've done to me, just me, and all these women I've met today. I'm emotional now. All these women I've met today, every single one of them's got a story like that. It makes you so angry.
Well, we asked the government for a response, and the Department for Work and Pensions told us that the decision to make the state pension age the same for men and women was decided 25 years ago, and that since then that decision has been supported by the High Court and the Supreme Court, who'd refused those affected permission to appeal. Meanwhile, it's been 2 years since the Parliamentary Ombudsman ruled that the government did fail to adequately warn women. Since then, it's been investigated whether that amounted to an injustice, and if so, whether there should be compensation. compensation. But the women who gathered here today told us they simply can't afford to wait. 1 in 3 have been struggling to pay their energy bills this winter, and with times only set to get tougher, they want the government to act right now.
Alicia, thanks very much. Hard to hear them so upset about that. Well, moving on to sport now. And 3 days on from that nightmare defeat at Anfield, Manchester United are preparing to dust themselves down, Mike.
Yeah, it must be a difficult week at Old Trafford this week, mustn't it? I think the United players just want to get back out on the pitch now and try to put things right. Marcus Rashford says it is nonsense to suggest Manchester United's players gave up during Sunday's 7-0 defeat to Liverpool. United were back on the training ground in the snow today, hoping to quickly move on from their heaviest defeat since the 1930s. Tomorrow they face Spanish side Real Betis in the Europa League, and ahead of the game, Rashford reflected on that Anfield defeat.
We didn't give up. That's nonsense. We was unorganised, yeah. Communication was bad, yeah. That's why we conceded the goals. But it comes down to the fact that I believe that everyone was trying to get back into the game that much. We come away from the team's principles in and out of possession. It's happened, and the only thing we can do is learn from it.
Well, meanwhile, Erik ten Hag has thrown his support behind the under-fire Bruno Fernandes. He captained United on Sunday in the absence of Harry Maguire and has come in for plenty of criticism, with former captain Roy Keane describing his body language as a disgrace. But this is what his manager had to say today.
No one is perfect. Everyone has his mistakes and everyone has to learn. I have to learn, and he will learn as well because he's intelligent. And but I'm really happy to have Bruno Fernandes in my team, and I'm really happy that Bruno Fernandes is Harry not on the pitch, he's our captain.
To the Football League now, and Wigan Athletic remain rooted to the bottom of the Championship table. They were beaten 1-0 away at West Brom last night. Next up for them, well, it doesn't get much harder. They're away at runaway league leaders Burnley. Into League One, and Morecambe had to settle for a 1-1 draw with relegation rivals Cambridge. They stay in the drop zone. Accrington Stanley are just above them in the table after they were beaten 3-0 away at Ipswich Town. Fleetwood were also beaten. They went down 2-0 away to Wickham. Elsewhere last night, Stockport drew 0-0 with Gillingham in League Two. Now, last summer, when England's women won the Euros, the Lionesses called on the government to make real change in PE lessons in schools. Well, today they got their wish with the government's announcement that more than £600 million will be spent to give girls and boys equal access to school sports, including football. Well, what a boost that is on International Women's Day. And to mark this special day on the calendar, some of our football clubs have been celebrating the huge progress made in the women's game. David Chisnall reports.
On International Women's Day, a time to reflect on the rise of women's football.
It's a brilliant start!
The Lionesses' Euros win has been the catalyst for unprecedented growth in the game, which has spread from the country to club level.
You are my heroes and I am your biggest fan.
A heartwarming message from superfan Skylar to Everton stars Izzy Christiansen and Jess Park. For the 10-year-old and her classmates at St Mary and St Paul's Primary School in Prescott, excitement overflowed as the players made a surprise visit to join in a game and offers Skylar the chance to lead the teams out at Goodison for this month's Merseyside derby.
It's been really nice to see the players in an actual person.
How good a day is this then?
Probably the best day of my life so far.
Seeing the impact that we can have in a school, you know, a local school to our training ground, and obviously Merseyside. A lot of Evertonians, the smiles on their faces, it means everything.
I used to look up to players when I was younger, so to think that, you know, someone is looking up to me how I used to look up to players is just brilliant.
Manchester City have also been using International Women's Day to inspire future generations, although 7-month-old Van Poppy stole the show during a special meet and greet at the National Football Museum. We can see she's got the kit on. I mean, is this a future... Oh, she's smiling as well. Is this a future Manchester City player?
It is, definitely, and definitely a future Lioness as well. I coach a girls' football team myself, so it's something I'm passionate about, and obviously want to make sure that she's got the opportunities to play that I didn't have as much of when I was younger.
That's so important to have role models, and for the girls as well to have female role models is really important. And like for us coming out here,
hopefully we could inspire some more girls.
I dream big, but I think even for the next 10 years, my dreams will be too small. You know, there are going to be 1 million transfers. I have no doubt in that, and hopefully the stadium won't be the men's stadium, will be just the main stadium where both men's and women's teams play their games.
Liverpool's Missy Kearns has been back at her local playing field, learning new skills from freestyler Shannon Gee. From a little girl who had her first kickabout on this grass to now a professional, she's seen interest in the women's game soar.
100%. I think just the way people will open their eyes up now and watch a women's match that's on the TV. I think a few years ago it'll be, I'd rather watch Coronation Street, but now after the Euros I think a lot of people have realised it's just as good as watching men's football.
Well, these are record-breaking times for women's football. The trick now is to keep it going. David Chisnell, ITV News, Liverpool.
Yes, International Women's Day, the perfect day to celebrate the growth of women's football.
Yeah, they can still watch Coronation Street as well, can't they? Of course, Poppy, a player of the future, a lioness of the future, wasn't she cute?
Yeah, the cutest person to appear on Granada Reports this week, I think. Look at her. Wouldn't it be great if she does play for England in 20 years' time? And whenever we interview her, we can show her this clip. She'll love that.
She will love that. We love that. Couldn't see those pictures enough, Mike. Thank you. Absolutely brilliant.
Gorgeous baby. Next, a special shout out to Kyla Redfern, the mother and grandmother from Lytham, who's about to become the town's first ever female town crier.
Long before social media, remember those days, and television, it was the town criers who were the original newsreaders of their day, a role that can be dated back to medieval times.
On a day when we are celebrating women, we went along to chat to Kyla. She prepares for her official duties. Anna Yosef reports.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay! It's International Women's Day, and a big congratulations to women all over the world.
Well, it's an honour to meet Lytham's first female town crier, Kyla Redfern. Kyla, did you always want to be a town crier?
Since I was a small child, I always wanted to be a town crier. I wanted to dress up and I wanted all the pomp and regalia.
Well, you look fabulous, I have to say.
Thank you.
Tell me exactly what the role involves. It's a lot more than just crying, isn't it?
Yes, and it is crying. It's not shouting, we are crying. It's to do with anything to do with the town, welcoming visitors into the town, just being that nice, happy face, being at the front of Lytham Club Day Parade, anything that's community-fied, I will be there, I will be the town crier.
And how did you get the gig?
You kind of sort of a little bit headhunted for it. The old town crier and myself had a conversation 2 years ago. He was off to Spain and he said his biggest regret was never finding a new town crier. And before I could get the words out of my mouth, my husband said, Kyla has always wanted to be town crier.
Oh, that's wonderful. So he was helping you make your dream come true?
Definitely.
Tell me, what do you think are the qualities that you need to be a good town crier?
I think you need to be an entertainer. I think you need to have a big smile, a big personality, and I think a great networker as well. I do have a good network of friends throughout the Fylde Coast, really. So all of that makes a good town crier.
You're a mum of 4, you're a grandmother as well. Do you think, I don't know, but my experience is sometimes when the kids won't come down for the dinner and you're going to have to shout to get them down the stairs, do you think that might have helped a little bit?
I think that was my training. Yeah, just shouting Jess, Millie, Grace, Clara, all the way down for tea every single night.
This is a voluntary role as well, but any money that you do earn from doing your private proclamations will go to charity.
It will, and the only charity it'll go to is Lytham Hall, which is behind us, which is the best Georgian manor house, I'm going to say the wrong words now, in Lancashire.
And you've got the King's protection, haven't you, Kyla?
I certainly have. If you upset the town crier, then it's still classed as an act of treason, so beware.
Especially your husband?
Especially my husband, yeah, definitely.
Would you do me the honour of crying us out of this segment, please?
Absolutely. Thank you so much to Granada Reports, to Lytham Hall, God Save the King, the Duke of Lancaster. Thank you very much. Back to the studio.
Beautifully done, Kyla, thank you
I
very
want
much.
the King's protection.
I'm sure you can have it if you want it.
Yeah.
Now then, there's loads of interest tonight in the forecast. So, Kerry, tell us what we can expect.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. Hello again. Yes, already turning quite wintry from the south during the course of today, but looking much more disruptive, especially over our high routes as we head into tomorrow and from 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon until midday on Friday. And amber, be prepared weather warning for our Pennine areas as we head into the latter part of this week, really causing some disruption. And for even at lower levels for a time, sleet and snow, accompanied by strong winds though, blizzard-like conditions, especially over high ground with some drifting over the hills. So as we head into this evening and overnight tonight, the milky blue hues indicating frosty conditions, but still the risk of some snow showers edging in from the south, at least for the first half of the night. Then the risk of some icy stretches before that area of rain starts to edge its way in to the Welsh Mountains by the time we reach dawn tomorrow. So 1 or 2 icy stretches first thing, maybe some sunshine further north, not quite as clear and cold as it was last night, got down to nearly -5 Celsius in parts of Cumbria, but the emphasis on that snow as we head into tomorrow. Pushing north and eastwards all the while, even at lower levels we could see a few centimetres temporarily before turning back to rain. But over the hills, over the mountain tops, pretty much snowing for much of the day. Maybe even becoming more invigorated tomorrow evening towards the rush hour. Some real disruptive and significant weather expected by the time we reach Thursday evening. So that's where that amber weather warning is over the mountain tops, continuing that snow as we head through into tomorrow evening. And maybe even for Friday morning, but it will push southwards, we think. And then some decent sunny spells, bitterly cold, but certainly some lying snow over our mountain tops. Then it clears and becomes quite frosty and icy into Saturday. Could even be some snow on the leading edge of our system into Sunday, but it does become, we think, much milder for the second half of the weekend.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Finally, to lift our spirits after that bleak forecast, here's a great example of a community working in harmony.
Brilliant. This is the wonderful Florrie, which has been at the heart of Liverpool 8 for 130 years. Nearly 200 guitarists there getting together to strum their stuff.
The aim was to get more people interested in playing the guitar in a city where music really matters. Well done to Timo Tierney and co for organising that, and to everyone who went along.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant to see that. And as we have been talking about inspirational women today, a good moment to remember the broadcaster and DJ Janice Long, who was a great supporter of the Florrie. She would have loved to have seen that. Good work.
Bye-bye.
Good night.